And the household seemed to be convinced that Muhammad was dying.
And while he was on his deathbed, and there were many who surrounded him, especially his close companions and his family, he called for silence around him. And he wanted it to be a time of quiet and of peace and of calm.
Embraced by the community he had founded in Medina and cared for by his wives and companions, Muhammad died peacefully on June 8th in the year 632. The news of his death shocked his followers, especially Omar, who believed Muhammad would outlive them all.
People began to hear, Prophet is dead. Omar went to the center square and started to say, there are hypocrites and liars who are saying that the Prophet is dead.
In the midst of this chaos, Abu Bakr reminded the Muslims of a verse from the Quran that had first been revealed after the Battle of Uhud, when they feared that Muhammad had been killed.
Abu Bakr comes into this scene of pandemonium, and he immediately stands up and says, whoever worshiped Muhammad, then know that Muhammad is dead. But whoever worshipped God, know that God lives on and never dies. And so suddenly these people are brought to their senses that indeed that Muhammad is a man, and men are mortal. And this is his legacy. He did everything within his power to prevent himself from being worshipped, because he recognized that that was a danger inherent in religious tradition, that the object of worship becomes the messenger and not the one sending the message.
Prophet Muhammad was a man, he's flesh and blood, who brought one of the most eloquent revelations to mankind. He's set an example to mankind through his behavior, through his actions, a living example. This is a legacy that he's left for Muslims.
Muhammad's legacy is obviously the seed that he planted. It is his righteousness, his honesty, his integrity, his model as a political leader, his model as an individual, a man who has made great accomplishments in his time, and yet who didn't let the successes overpower him, didn't let his ego get the best of him. He remains, I think, more than anything else, a great role model.
Muhammad is the kind of person who combines political and military and social and religious and intellectual dimensions of life in ways that are important for those of us in the 21st century who are struggling to put together complete lives ourselves.
If I were to have met Prophet Muhammad on the street, I feel like I would know him, and as though he would know all of us. The beauty of it is we live our lives through his examples, but he's not God. Our reverence is to God, and our reference is to him. So how I walk, and how I speak, and how I carry myself, and how I treat my husband, and how I treat my mother and my father, and how I behave as a sister and a daughter and a nurse and a friend and a neighbor, that's all Prophet Muhammad in action.
There's a reason why so many people are coming to Islam, despite the fact that there's so much of negativity about Islam in the world today.
That's a very good question. I remember when 9/11 happened. That was a very bad period for us. I remember living in Miami, people spitting at me because I wore hijab. People told me to take it off, take off my veil, and I would be safer in the streets. But at the same time, it made me stronger as a Muslim. And while it made me stronger as a Muslim, I was able to go out there and be more vocal about Islam because I felt that was my job, to demystify Islam. So we became more, more, how can I say, more
Empowered?
pressing, more empowered, more like justified that we had to go out there. And I definitely know that we got a voice. And this voice is being reached everywhere because we're saying, has touched my heart. Islam has touched my heart. Muslims have touched my heart. Islam is perfection. We have, like we said, free will. We have good and bad. But I do know that Islam is perfect. And I know that no matter what people can say about Islam, I'm not going to say it's my job to defend it, but I can tell you that to me it is perfect because it is a way of life, a way that I want to live, and a way that I want to have in the hereafter.
How can we convince the rest of the world that it is a perfect faith for you? I mean, information that with Muslims you have nothing to be afraid of.
I think that they have to see the peace in it. I think that when I first walked into a mosque, I felt so elated. I felt like I had stepped foot in a cloud because the serenity in the room, the beauty of the people praying to one God, everybody in the same direction at the same time, and knowing that all over the world, in the 24-hour period, people are praying towards Mecca, and Mecca is just a location, but in reality, it's just a focal point. There's nothing in there. People think, oh, it must be like a holy place where there's statues. There's nothing there. But it was so beautiful to know that all these prayers at 24 hours a day are being given to God to worship Him. I feel that they have to understand that Islam is a religion of peace and beautiful, and it helps you in your soul, it helps you with your family, with your dealings on your job. You always strive for perfection in whatever you do. This to me is real Islam. This to me is peace, serenity, and submission to God.
Do you think that it's also the responsibility of other people to go and find out the truth?
Yes, yes. It's like everything in life, you have to look and seek. You have to research it and look at it. Islam itself is open. You can go into any mosque and ask questions, but you should also not fear the Muslim. And people who fear the Muslim, it's because they have never been in touch with a practicing Muslim. Because once you sit down with a practicing Muslim and you see their love of God and their love of creation and nature, you can see someone who is peaceful. I think that people need to ask questions. When you see a Muslim, you see a hijabi, or you see somebody with a kufi, say hi, good morning, how's your day? And you'll see that they'll quickly respond and talk to you.